Good day viewers. Today we are in conversation with Mr. Ashish Ranawade, Head of Product, Emkay Wealth. Hi Ashish. Ashish, we'll start with some questions with you. In the impending global slowdown, which are the most desirable investment avenue you see for the investor?
Okay, so this global slowdown has largely been triggered by inflation and the Fed going very aggressively after the inflation which is plaguing the US economy. And what has actually happened is the equity markets there have taken a tumble.
Right.
Tech stocks have fallen more than 50% over the last 1 year, and I think this recession is probably going to be short-lived. You can expect 2 rate hikes till about March, and
Okay.
then after that rates may stay high for a long period of time, and somewhere around the third quarter of this calendar year we feel that the economy will bottom out.
Okay.
Now, typically equity markets bottom out much before that, and what we feel is that the US markets may actually bottom out somewhere in the second quarter of calendar year 2023. So, for equity investors, doing a systematic investment over the next 6 months, I think they should be able to catch the bottom.
Okay.
And tech stocks which have been beaten down quite badly, and many of these tech stocks are not actually tech stocks, they are consumer driven technology companies. So for instance, if I may say, Amazon or Google or Apple, they are largely consumer driven. So I think
Right.
that is where I see a lot of opportunity at this point in time. So it's very difficult to pinpoint when exactly equity markets will bottom out, but I would say if you start now a systematic investment over the next 6 months, you should be able to catch the bottom. Another investment avenue at this point in time is gold, and typically what has been seen is that when the economy is headed into a recession, the performance of gold historically has been the best. And we've already seen gold picking up. So if you see the performance from month of November, December, and now for the first 15 days of January, gold has done exceedingly well. And I think this will continue for the next 2 quarters. So from that perspective, it's a good investment option, given that we are heading into a recession.
Thank you, Ashish. Thinking of yourself as a growth investor, what are your expectations from the budget?
I would say India is a growth economy. India stands out very strongly in terms of growth in the global economy at this point in time, the fastest growing. And I think the impetus to growth should continue. The budget is always a balancing act between the income and the expenditure of the government. And it's always a tough one, given that the fiscal deficit has expanded because of COVID. But while gradually it has to come down, I would still expect the budget to give the growth impetus should continue.
Okay. Okay, so that product have seen growing interest in recent time. What factor makes this lucrative for investors?
See, the way the yield curve is placed today, we have a flattish yield curve, which basically means that the differential between a 10-year and the short end, which is 6 months or 1 year, is not very high, and which basically means that there is a chance that, given that we are heading into a slowdown, and also given that RBI is expected to hike rates maybe once or twice more, there is a possibility that the long end is likely to the long end of the curve is likely to move up. Which basically means that the 10-year, which is likely to go to around 775. Now, if that happens, I think that would be a great investment opportunity.
Okay.
And typically, I have seen that in the month of March, this opportunity plays out.
Right.
After the budget. So, I mean, from an investor's perspective, I would say you can stay at the short end at the moment, but
Okay.
you know, as and when that opportunity comes in,
Right.
it will be a good time to shift to the long end.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so investors who are looking for exposure to global market, do you think it's the right time to venture
I think
in?
I've already answered that question. Yes, we do expect the US markets to bottom out somewhere between the second quarter of calendar year 23, and I think you know, it should be a great time to invest in the US markets. Many of these stocks have fallen 40%, 50% from
Right.
their peak, and I think US market gives an opportunity once in 3 years, and I think you know, it's a good
It's a good time to-
opportunity to invest.
Okay. Okay. With slowdown weighing in, do you think we should move away from small cap and look at maybe large cap or quality mid cap only?
I wouldn't distinguish between large, mid, and small caps for a simple reason that you know, we have a very strong economic tailwind. India is growing very fast,
Okay.
and typically what we have seen is that when the economic growth is good, the
Right.
smaller end of you know, the market cap, the companies typically witness good amount of growth in terms of their profits. So from that perspective, I would not shun away from small caps. Mid caps and large caps, I would say yes, the valuations on the Indian markets are at this point in time a little expensive.
Okay.
But there are always opportunities, and I would say, you know, this year you should see some of the smart fund managers outperform the benchmarks and, you know, should be able to give double-digit returns. So I think one has to be very selective when looking at opportunities.
Right.
It's the days of you know, when you invest in the market and market gives you fantastic returns. I think those are over. You need to cherry pick.
Okay. Thank you, Ashish. My last question would be, which equity sector do you think will give the best return?
I think infrastructure, given that the government is focused on you know, growth and taking the Indian economy forward, and that's what they've been doing, investing a lot in infrastructure.
Right.
So I think that segment, infrastructure related companies should do well. Second is manufacturing, because if you see again the impetus for manufacturing has been tremendous. So a lot of opportunity is there as well. Banking, the shape of banks, health of banks is much better today, and I think they should be able to ride on this growth very well. And I would say the rural economy has been doing very well. So, you know, stocks which are related to the rural economy should do well, because the government stated agenda is also to ensure that, you know, the farmers benefit a lot, and more disposable income in the hands of the farmers is also good from a rural economy standpoint. So I think I would say companies which are focused on that segment should benefit.
Okay. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insight with us.
Thank you.